noticed the shift in someone's tone before they finished the sentence. You've rehearsed conversations that never happened. You felt an emotion and immediately stood back to examine it, like a scientist who somehow became the specimen. And the strangest part? You've always assumed everyone does this. They don't. There's a particular kind of mind that never fully switches off. Not anxious exactly, though it can look like that from the outside. More like perpetually tuned in, picking up frequencies most people don't even know are broadcasting. It's a strange way to live. Rich sometimes, exhausting often, and quietly, it shapes everything. How you love, how you second guess, how you stand in a room full of people and still somehow feel like the only observer in it. What that awareness is actually doing to you, and for you, is more complicated than it first appears. Some people with this kind of mind become extraordinary readers of subtext. A friend says I'm fine, and they already know which specific kind of not fine it is. They catch the micro-expression, the pause before the answer, the laugh that doesn't reach the eyes. This isn't a party trick. It's the result of a nervous system that learned, somewhere along the way, that the official version of events wasn't always the real one. So it started collecting data. Quietly, constantly, reading what people perform versus what they feel. The cost is that they can rarely take things at face value. An ordinary silence becomes something to interpret. A canceled plan carries weight it probably wasn't meant to carry. The gift of deep perception and the curse of it are, frustratingly, the exact same thing. What happens, though, when that same radar turns inward? They start observing themselves the way they observe everyone else. Mid-laugh, they notice they're laughing. Mid-conversation, they track their own tone. They feel something genuine. Grief, excitement, love, and almost simultaneously begin narrating it internally, like a documentary playing inside the experience itself. Psychologists call this meta-cognition. For the people living it, it mostly just feels like never being fully in anything. There's a particular loneliness in that. Not the kind that comes from being alone, the kind that comes from being present and absent at the same time. Others channel their awareness differently, into performance. Not dishonestly, more like careful curation. They've learned which version of themselves lands well in which room. They code switch fluently, not to deceive, but because they've always been acutely conscious of how they're being received. Every word slightly pre-edited, every reaction monitored a half-second before it's expressed. It's sophisticated social intelligence. It's also a quiet form of exhaustion that's very hard to explain to people who don't feel it. The irony is that these are often the people others describe as effortlessly natural. Nobody sees the machinery. And then there are the ones who turn all of this into something creative. Writers, therapists, the friend everyone calls at 2 a.m., people who've taken their hyper-awareness, all that relentless noticing, and found it has a use, that it builds something. Their sensitivity, which probably felt like a liability for years, becomes the exact thing that makes them irreplaceable. That reframe doesn't arrive easily. It usually comes after a long time of wishing you could just not notice so much. So here's what's worth considering. Is your awareness something you've been quietly apologizing for? Something you've tried to dial down, rationalize, or hide behind a calm exterior? Because the mind that never stops noticing, when it finally learns to trust itself, doesn't just observe the world. It understands it in ways that are genuinely rare. If something in this quietly described you, say so below. There are more of you than you think. Ditch kitsch bon any song TV.